we're pleased now to welcome in Matt Rhule, who is the new head coach of the Temple Owls. I spent 4 years as an assistant under Steve Adazio and Al Golden, and basically running the Temple offense, and he gets to take over his own program after spending last year as an offensive line coach for the New York Giants in the NFL. So, Coach, first of all, welcome, congratulations. And so, what can you do for Temple fans right off the bat? Let's just kind of dig right in there.
Well, I think one of the things that been my message today and been my message to our players is we've had some recent success, and we're going to get back to that this year. The seniors that I brought here today, they in their first 3 years they were 26 and 12, and so you come, you hear, hey, you're picked here, hey, you're picked there. I think our players are ready to get back to being the team that was 26 and 12, that was bowl eligible their first 3 years, and that's really our mission.
Even though there's been staff continuity, the shift in head coaching, 3 out of the last 4 years, it's got to have some disruptive thing there. What do you do to overcome that?
I think the one thing I hopefully brought was the stability that our players deserved, and by that I mean, I was there under Al, and I was there 1 year under Steve, so I knew how both of them did things, so I didn't bring anything radical. But I think the other part of it is I think the players knew me. They knew what to expect from me. And then moving forward, I'm going to bring stability here for a long time. And I think that as we go on the recruiting trail, as our freshmen and sophomores buy into the program, they know this is the way it's going to be for a while.
All right, you've got 13 starters back from a team that went 4-7 a year ago. As you said, though, you do have familiarity with the program because you spent previous years under the 2 previous head coaches. But I guess the one thing that I've noticed this far, Coach, is that you've really shuffled the deck of cards. You got different players lining up in different spots. I know Chris Coyer is one of those guys who you moved out from quarterback to a receiver position as well. Tell us what your thinking is behind shuffling the deck like that.
It's something I learned from Al Golden. I mean, we rank the players all the time, and we move guys from offense to defense and defense to offense, and a lot of those guys ended up playing pro football because we found the right spot for them. So even going into camp, there's guys that finished the spring at tight end that are going to play defensive end this fall.
That's a demotion, though. Take somebody from the offense and put them.
But spoken like a true offensive line.
But my goal is just to get the best 11 players on the field all the time and put guys. I played for Joe Paterno. He used to say, "I'll move you twice. The first time I move you for the team, the second time I move you to play in the NFL." And that's what we've really tried to do. And our players have been very receptive. I never move someone that doesn't want to be moved. But we're always, as coaches, trying to think outside the box and get the best players on the field.
So when we say you've got 13 starters back, it really makes no difference at all. You have players with experience back,
right.
But not necessarily starters. So what are the big changes that we can see from Temple this year in terms of some of these guys that are moving to new positions?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head with the first one. Chris Coyer, he is our returning quarterback, but he's now playing in an H-back tight end position. He's really a selfless guy. He was the bowl game MVP 2 years ago, and Chris brings a dynamic presence running the football, and so we're going to throw the ball to him instead of snapping it to him. What that does is that opens up our starting quarterback job. Right now, that's Connor Riley. He's been there for a couple of years. He was a drop-back quarterback playing in Coach Adazio's spread option scheme, so he didn't really fit. Well, he fits for us now. So he'll enter camp as the starter, and we expect great things from him.
What's that fit, Coach? Describe your offense.
We are always going to try to run the football, but what I did was really having a chance to go to the Giants and work for Coach Gilbride, who spent years, just tearing up the NFL record books, throwing the football. I've tried to bring some of those passing game concepts back to the college level, back to Temple. Even when I was a coordinator, we were a power run team, and we threw it when we had to under Coach Golden. We're going to make a shift. We're going to throw the football now than we ever have. We've got a strong group of receivers, so we're going to try to get the ball in their hands. My goal is that when we break the huddle, all 4 or 5 guys are hoping hey, maybe this is a time that I touch the football, not just the tailback.
Okay. So then, well, you've got some of these changes on the offensive side. Defensively, you've got some guys. I know that two names that have popped up, at least in some of the people that I've talked about your team already, Sean Daniels, Shabazz Ahmed, I guess, at defensive end primarily. Is that still correct? Are they still there?
Yeah, they're still there, and you know, Sean's a extremely talented young man, and he his brother Mike plays for the Green Bay Packers, and Sean's one of those guys. To have a great year, you have to have some seniors step up and have a great senior season. And you know, as I look back at my time at Temple when we were really successful, we had like 34, 35 sacks a year. They were at 25 last year. So whether it's Levi Brown, Kamal Johnson, or Sean Daniels and Shabazz Ahmed, those guys have to rush the passer for us, and because this league is filled with great quarterbacks.
You mentioned Levi Brown at defensive tackle. Is that the strength on that side of the ball, in the front four or the front seven?
Yeah, you know, I've put a lot of pressure on them to rush the passer better, but I think we're really strong inside and up front. You know, we have some young linebackers that played well last year. Tyler Medikevich was the Big East Defensive Rookie of the Year. So I think we have some young linebackers, but we have a couple senior defensive tackles, you know, 305, 310-pound guys that are physical, hard-nosed guys that will really set the tone for our defense.
Well, if you're trying to put pressure on a quarterback with your defense, it all comes from the middle. The rush doesn't come from the middle, but if those guys in the middle are doing their job, it frees up the perimeter to do all kinds of good things. I've seen an awful lot of great defenses built when they've got the middle three solved.
No, you're right. You're right. I think they'll do a good job for us this year.
Medikevich, you mentioned, was the Rookie of the Year defensively, and Defensive Freshman of the Year, 101 tackles. So what can he do? What does he bring here that can help perhaps sort of take over that leadership role, because he's still a young team?
You know, he is. You know, I think the one thing I've really challenged him in the spring, you know, sometimes as a defensive player, as a linebacker, you focus on how many tackles. I've tried to, you know, get him to focus on how many plays. You know, not just making a tackle 4, 5, 6 yards down the field. The next step in his progression is to make those plays in the backfield, to make those plays at the line of scrimmage. And what he's done as a leader, to answer your question, is he's embraced it. He hasn't fought me on that. He's embraced that. He wants to be a premier linebacker in this league. So he'll step up this year. He'll have another really good year for us.
All right, your season, boy, I've got to tell you, you're definitely taking it on. Your opener on August the 31st at Notre Dame. I don't know that it gets much more challenging than that from the get-go. So how have you guys embraced that, and how are the guys beginning to let that sink in? It's like, hey, we've got an opportunity here really to shock the world, so to speak.
Yeah, you know, I think for our players, they've played in a lot of great venues. They've been to, you know, to Maryland, they've been to Penn State, they've played UCLA, but South Bend's a special place, and we as a staff and as a program have a lot of respect for, you know, what they've done, you know, the history that they've built, the experience they have there. So it's really my goal going in there to respect that, but also try to build that here at Temple. So we're going to play the national runner-ups, play them as hard as we can, and the crux of our season really is the fact that the following week we play the first ever American Conference game. And so while non-conference games are great, your goal is to win the league. So we have to come back the next week and be ready for a great Houston team.
That's a huge focus right off the start. I know as a coach you're probably thankful you have that, because it forces your guys to not be thinking about, how much I'm sore, how much I heard from preseason, training camp, and like, wow, we need to get focused for a reason.
Yeah, we start off with 2 great games, and 2 really important games for our program and our young people. So I have everyone's talking about the Notre Dame game. I'm talking about the Houston game, and I think our players will be focused for both as a result.
Thanks for spending some time.
Thank you very much. Great to see you.
Congratulations on the new position. And
thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Success to the Owls this year.
Thank you.